So today I am off to London to participate in medical research, which is quite exciting. I'm just putting a little bit of makeup on, but I thought this would be a good time for me to kind of explain a new diagnosis and what the medical research is for and blah 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 blah. So yeah, so last month I'd been seeing a neurologist since kind of early this year, I think, because I'd had loads of neurology symptoms, and I've always kind of had them with the fibromyalgia, but these were getting to the point where they were like, okay, they don't match the fibromyalgia diagnosis. So I did an MRI of my brain and spinal cord, and I did an EGK. No, I can't remember which one, but they basically literally just electrocute you to see if your nerves and muscles are responding. And they all came back fine, which is great because that would have potentially meant something quite serious. Yeah, so I did that, that's all fine. So then the first neurologist was like, I think you might have something called functional neurological disorder, and he was very right. But he sent me to St George's Hospital in London to see the neurology team there who deal with FND, which is functional neurological disorder. I was given that diagnosis last month. Yeah, about last month. That's the one at the door. So yeah, last month I was given that diagnosis. It fits so well. So basically a quick functional, I'm just gonna read this out really quick because I'm kind of getting ready and it's kind of early in the morning, so my voice is pretty graspy. Functional neurological disorder, FND, is a common and disabling cause of neurological symptoms. In simple terms, the brain does not send or receive messages correctly. Symptoms may appear similar to neurological diseases like MS and Parkinson's, but it is more regarding the functioning of the nervous system rather than the disease. Oh my god, there's dogs going cray. They originally thought it was caused by past trauma only, but this is not true. Main point. There is still so much more research to be done as they don't actually know what causes it in most circumstances. Now, it used to just be referred to as conversion disorder. Now, that is a psychological disorder where you've had psychological trauma that is so great that the brain and the nervous system start sending it out as physical symptoms. So it used to be called shell shock, as what World War I soldiers used to come home with. Be soldiers that had gone blind but had without any physical trauma, and you know, things like that. Soldiers that come, and it was literally just from post-traumatic stress. But lots of research is happening with FND at the moment, which is, I think I've been diagnosed with it at the right time, to be honest, because there's quite exciting research going on, because it's the same story for my fibromyalgia. They used to also think that fibromyalgia was caused by psychological trauma, but I have never had any sort of psychological trauma. What we think set off my fibromyalgia, because of the correlating timeline, I had a bad stint of really severe kidney infections from like April to September in 2012. I'd just constantly having these infections. You know, I had to keep going to A&E for IV antibiotics. I'm also a type 1 diabetic, so kidney infections they can be really dangerous, and you know, I was having such severe ones that it was making me extremely unwell. Come September that year, I had stopped having these kidney infections, but I still had kidney pain, which obviously was a bit confusing, so I kept going back to the doctors saying like, oh, you know, I've got the kidney pain, so I think I've just got another kidney infection, and then they would check me and there'd be like no infection present. So we monitored it for a little bit, and then basically, skip on ahead a year or so, the pain that I was feeling in my lower back and my kidneys had basically spread throughout my entire body. So that was 2012 and 13. 2014, I was then diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and most doctors, including rheumatologists, the fibromyalgia nurse, all these people, you know, they can't say that it was caused by the infections because they're still not 100% sure what causes these kind of chronic illnesses, but there's a big correlation between patients having physical trauma of that kind, so whether it be infection or an injury or stuff like that, you know, there's so many patients that have got very similar stories like that to mine, so it's clear that there is definitely a link there, and most doctors agree, but obviously they just can't say that's definitely what caused it, because, you know, we're still not 100% sure. Anyway, I did have neurological symptoms back then as well, but unfortunately, every time I went to the doctors about them, saying like, hey, I'm having these symptoms that don't really correlate well with fibromyalgia, like, I don't think it's fibromyalgia, I was always told, oh, it's fibromyalgia. We don't really know much about fibromyalgia, so those could be fibromyalgia symptoms, even though we've never heard of those being fibromyalgia symptoms, but they might be, so it's probably just your fibromyalgia. That was what I was told constantly, so I was like, okay. And then skip forward to the beginning of this year, those neurological symptoms started to progress and get quite bad. One of the symptoms, or one of the issues with it, is my speech. As you can tell, sometimes I can't find the words I'm looking for, or I say the wrong word, or sometimes I can have like, to the extent of having like slurred speech, so that's why sometimes I speak like this. Skip forward, I had a new GP who is absolutely fantastic, and he did some tests, like physical tests, when I went to go see him, and he was just a bit like, you're a girl who needs to see a neurologist, you should have seen a neurologist probably years ago. I really hope that noise isn't really annoying, but it's really quite warm in this room, so I've just got a little fan so my makeup doesn't melt off. So I saw the neurology team at St George's and they diagnosed me with FND. Both neurologists I saw have both agreed that it's because I've not had this psychological traumatic episode to cause any of this, so we are pretty sure mine has been caused by physical trauma, which probably would have been the infections that I had. So you can have any neurological symptom as part of FND, because that's the whole point, is functional neurological disorder. It's basically to say you have very real neurological symptoms, but we don't necessarily know the cause. So I've got like a little list in front of me, because when people ask me what kind of symptoms I have, my brain just goes and I just forget. But jerks and twitches, limb weakness, so I have muscle weakness all over, difficulty speaking, word finding difficulty, brain fog, short-term memory problems and difficulty concentrating. I have that constantly. Chronic pain, chronic fatigue, fleeting sensations, so IG, it feels like the skin is crawling. And there's so many others as well, like, so for me, sorry, I'm just gonna set my fan back up. So for me, I have a lot of involuntary muscle movements. So it's almost like I don't have control over my body just does what it wants. And I can't tell it not to. Yeah, the main thing for me is balance and coordination. It is terrible, which is why I basically have to use a wheelchair when outside my own home, because I am just a massive fall risk. I have really bad balance and coordination. I have muscle weakness again, so like my legs can give out on me a lot. There's just so many factors that's pretty much the main reason why I have to use a wheelchair outside the house. And gait issues and stuff like that, so the way you walk and stuff is not, I don't walk very stably either. And again, back to those like muscle twitches and spasms and stuff like that. Lots of people have seizures as well with FND. I think they're called non-epileptic seizures or non-epilepsy seizures. I've only ever had a couple, so I'm pretty lucky on that front. I recently joined some Facebook groups and it seems like it's very common to have seizures with it. So I have quite bad fine motor skills as well. I've not explained it very well at all, but I'll leave some links in the description about FND and the kind of symptoms that you can have from it and stuff like that. So, but when I saw the neurologist I saw at St George's, oh fuck it, I've also got to take some pills now. Ow. Swallowing issues is a symptom. Okay, so yeah, when I went to see the neurology team at St George's and they diagnosed me for sure with FND. He said that I think he's one of the lecturers at one of the universities, don't know which one, but they're doing research with people with balance disorders. So FND falls into that category, especially for me because I have terrible balance and coordination. So they're doing non-invasive research. Oh, we have arrived. I think we're at Channing's Cross Hospital. I don't know what bloody hospital we're at. Yeah, I don't know what I said and what I filmed earlier, but we're basically here. I'm taking part in a research study with people who have balance disorders, so FND comes under that. We're right here of that. Yeah, so it's for people with balance disorders. It's like a non-invasive study. I think I've just got to stand on some moving floors, the kind of things you get at airports, I suppose. And I think they're testing on how quickly someone like me, so someone who's got a balance disorders, how long it takes my brain to realise that something's not moving. I don't really know, so I need my disabled badge. That would help. Right, I'm probably not going to film in there, so I'm just going to say bye now. So see you in a bit.